Today I will be discussing NPK application and how it affects soil and agriculture as a whole. So first off, the N in NPK stands for nitrogen. This helps a plant put on lush green growth that helps break down organic matter in compost. Plants that lack nitrogen grow really slowly with small leaves and little top growth. Some sources for nitrogen include fish or crab meal, cottonseed meal, feather meal, soybean meal, blood meal, ammonium/urea. Lawns like a lot of nitrogen to perform well, but runoff from nitrogen can harm many of our watersheds. The next part is phosphorus. Phosphorus helps the plant's overall reproductive system, its flower and fruiting capability, and its overall tissue strength. Slow growth, stunted leaves, and defoliation, scorching and disfigured leaves all indicate you might have a deficiency of phosphorus. Lastly, some of the sources for phosphorus include fish meal, bat and seafood guano, bone meal, alfalfa meal, and phosphates. Lastly, within NPK, the K stands for potassium. This nutrient helps the plant's immune system and rooting capabilities. Some sources for this include kelp meal, green sand, guanos and nitrate, phosphate, chloride, and sulfate potassium. Some additional sources that might be included are things such as calcium, magnesium, sulfur, iron, manganese, boron, zinc, copper, molybdenum, and chlorine. So now that we know a little bit about NPK, the first step that you should do when you're thinking about applying NPK or any other fertilizer to your soil is to get your soil tested. So we live here in southern Indiana, and our lab that we use is Waters Agricultural Laboratories. It's located in Owensboro, Kentucky. I would highly recommend them. They do a really good job for us. But wherever you are located, just Google where your local soil testing lab is and they can get you set up. So that's our first step. So now that we have our soil tested, for us here at my home, it was determined that we needed 12-12-12, which on the bag here it says 12% total nitrogen, 12% available phosphate, and 12% soluble potash. And we bought this bag here at our local co-op, and this actually came from Pro Ag, which is located in Danville, Kentucky. Here's the label for our fertilizer. As you can tell, it was from Pro Ag. Included on the label is a guaranteed analysis, a warning label, and a precautionary statement, as well as how much it weighed, which was 50 pounds, and who the product was manufactured by. As far as safety goes for this, it's important that you have a mask, gloves, and eye protective wear, because this can definitely, if you breathe it in, it can be really bad for your body. And if it gets in your eyes or you touch your face somehow, it can definitely burn you or somehow hurt your body. Whenever you're applying NPK, it's important to avoid splashing, spilling, leaks, spray drift, and contamination of your clothing to keep yourself safe. And never eat, smoke, drink, or chew when you're using fertilizers. So for us here, we only have about 5 acres that we have to spread NPK for. So we just use our lawnmower with a lawn spreader attachment with it. It's really important that when you're done, that you wash your equipment really well, because if not, it can rust both the implement and parts of your lawnmower. It's also important that you spread your NPK before it rains, because the rain helps it seep into your soil so that it can be distributed in a faster method. You distribute your NPK or any other fertilizer, that you cut your lawn down first so that it can be distributed and it doesn't get lost if your grass has grown up really high. So now I'm going to be doing a live demonstration. As you can tell, I have my mask on, my gloves, and my protective eyewear. So I'm just going to open up my container. And dump it into the spreader. It's important before distributing fertilizer that you look at the flow rate chart located on your implement. It's also really essential that you turn the flow control arm to off so that your fertilizer is not lost. In this video clip, you will see how the fertilizer is spread using a lawnmower with the implement attached.
It's important that if you end up having leftover fertilizer, that you seal up the bag and place it in an airtight container. If you completely used the entire bag, make sure that you get rid of it immediately as it could cause harm to other materials close to it. Make sure that if any fertilizer spilled out onto the ground or any other areas, that you immediately clean it up and get rid of the product.
Within this process, it's really important for soil science and agriculture as a whole because it helps justify our soil needs. Plants need to be fertilized because most of our soil does not provide the essential nutrients required for optimum growth. It's important for our environment and our ecology because without fertilizer, soils are not as productive and crops do not grow as quickly since fertilizers give more productive soils and faster growing crops as a whole. Fertilizer is therefore key to ensuring enough produce is grown to feed population on a larger scale. Lastly, within our forestry sector, it helps supply essential nutrients that keep our trees healthy and help it to fight off various infections.